We put that product out on the market and we were making sales within 7 days. So we knew that we had something. We knew we were onto something.
Today, I'm joined by Marino Merlini, founder of Clean and Kind, a skincare business that he built. In this conversation, we're going to break down how he started from an idea, getting his first customers, mistakes he made, and what he'd do differently starting over today. So thanks so much for joining, and tell us a little bit about yourself and what the business does.
Yeah. So my name is Marino Merlini. I am 29, entrepreneurial, always been. And just since I was 21, I've always just been basically starting businesses. And whether they've been successful or failed, I've always seen them through. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and yep, we're building the cleanest skincare company in the entire world. And we started the company in 2024.
Wow, very cool. So when you started, right, I mean, there's so many ideas out there that anyone can start with nowadays. Skincare sounds pretty unique to me. What made you think that skincare was a good idea?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's actually a lot of people ask me that question because it's like in my past, the first company that I had was a transportation and logistics company. We had 26 trucks and 26 employees. We scaled that. And then I exited that business in 2024. So that was like one of the questions that they asked me is like, well, how'd you land on skincare? And I was like, well, after that company, middle of 2024, I was trying to just do a market analysis on and start something else because that's what I wanted. I always wanted to start businesses, and it came up that we bounced a couple ideas off, launched a few things through the e-commerce realm, if you will, and none of them really stuck. But then we kind of hit a passion project for us, which was natural skincare. And I'm personally a natural enthusiast. I don't like to put toxins in around my body. I've ran an Olympic triathlon, so I'm very into fitness. And I went into, my bathroom after first it started with food. Like I was scanning the label of food and I was like, God, like all of this stuff is kind of toxic for your body. Then it moved to, okay, what am I putting on my body? So skincare, facial cleansers, lotions, shampoos, hair clay, if you're going to do your hair, and everything in there was just terrible. And I was like, there's got to be a market for this. And there was. So that's how we started.
Pretty cool. So you talked about, you did a market analysis, and a lot of people, when they first start, they just want to do an idea, but they don't do their due diligence to kind of prepare and do that research. So what was that market analysis like? Was it just, you just scanned out a skincare industry and you looked at who was out there and that helped you kind of understand this was feasible?
Yeah, ideally. So you've got the idea that comes to your head. It's like, okay, well, we want to start a natural skincare company. And at the time, tallow was booming in the market. So there was already a couple people on Amazon was the platform that we mainly looked at. And what we did was we saw, okay, go into this market. Let's say we're going to launch a tallow balm, which is what we did. We say, okay, well, what are the customers doing? Are they is the market large enough to where we can come in and then improve on the product that's already being sold and maybe offer more value, offer it a lower price? Can we improve on going into their customer reviews, looking at the 1 star, 2 star, 3 star rating, saying what are people saying that they don't like about the product and how can we incorporate that into ours? And is that ultimately going to give us a competitive moat against them? So we did that first. And then we were like, okay, this makes sense. Like, I think we can do this. And getting started out, I'm not recommending anybody to do this. Okay. But this is one thing that we did, like I said, okay, I'll commit like 10 grand to this. So I committed about 10 grand to it. And then my partner opened up a credit card. So we had like 20K in total, and we ran up that credit card bill and ran that thing up, paid it down with my cash. That gave us about 2 months of runway. And we just sourced all of the products from on all the raw materials for the stuff online. And then we started making it inside of, our house. And then we got the product out to market and we realized that we had product market fit, like it was selling. So I think that was the first step in that phase. And then obviously we can go into what comes next after that. But I like, listen, man, if you're going to start these businesses, a lot of the times you're going to go and these things, like, if it's not working, like try to move on quick, like see if you have the fit, but like, don't try and force it. And try and do it as cheaply and as quickly as possible so you can move on to the next one if it's not going to work.
Gotcha. I feel like that's so hard, right? Like, especially, I mean, you've done this before with your transportation business, but anyone who's starting off, that's a hard muscle to practice where you can identify this is an idea, I'm giving it my best, but to pivot is such a hard thing. People can be really attached to their ideas, even if they're just so passionate about it, because to their mind, they think, I want to do this, but sometimes the market doesn't fare with that. Do you have some pointers to understand when you need to move on or we're going to go with it?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say too, like starting out, guys, like speaking to the younger generation that's looking to start a business, you guys see a very nice company that I have now that's going extremely well, but nobody saw the 10 businesses that I had before that failed. Okay. So that's something to be like very cognizant of is like you only need to be right once in order to build a beautiful company that can ultimately, whatever you exit if you want or be profitable. So as far as pivoting goes, this was given to me by a very close friend, my best friend and a business mentor. And it's basically what like McKinsey will do. Like McKinsey will come in and they'll like analyze a market. And now what's so interesting is you can do this with Claude. So if you go into Claude and you say, Mark, analyze this business and scrutinize it fully, and then you feed it all the data and like the key metrics, these are just like a small amount, but total addressable market, how many people are interested in skincare? And very simply, you can just go to Google Trends and type in clean skincare and like, what does the graph look like? Is the graph in a upwards trend and is it holding? And when you give it, like, that's just one, what's the search volume that's coming in per month for this keyword? And how much revenue are other people in the market making on it? And when you feed all this information inside, it's going to, give you a scorecard on it. And like, I wouldn't proceed on the business if it's not a very high scorecard. And then once you do have that scorecard though, that's when you have to sit there and say, okay, I'm locking in on this for 3 years and I'm not letting off of the gas until I win. And it's very simple. That's just, I'm going to do it or die. And if, as long as you did your due diligence, you should be good in theory. Like if you checked all of those boxes, then you just have to push through and you got something good. And the market will tell you too, like we put that product out on the market and we were making sales within 7 days. So we knew that we had something. We knew we were onto something. And like there's what we call gate checks along the way. And you need to like totally detach yourself from an emotional perspective and say, what are the gate, and ask Claude this too. What are the gate checks that I can put up for 1 month, 2 month, 6 month, 12 month, and be very honest with yourself. Did we hit these gate checks? Because that will tell you if your business is going to be successful or not.
Man, that's so important, gate check. Like, I feel like people that go into this, they just want to go 100% in. And if they see a moment of failure, they just give up, you know? So I think that's really helpful for anyone, listening out there. So, once you did that, right, you did like a test out there. Do you have like a game plan going in through like day one? How did that look like?
Bro, we had no plan. Like there was up with you, bro. We were so underqualified to like proceed on this venture, but that's kind of the fun and illusional. Like you need to have a healthy amount of delusion about it. And life's got a funny way of like knocking that out as you keep going, and it'll give you just enough to continue your journey as long as like you're giving it 100%. But what did that look like? So I'll tell you what it looks like and what it should have looked like. But in that first 6, we were just bouncing off the walls, like making the product, and like it was selling through, and our CCC, so our cash conversion cycle, started to get to the point where we were making so many sales and the cash wasn't turning around into our bank account fast enough to buy more inventory. So, I mean, step one, right? Let's make a minimally viable product that we can get to the market and test. Okay. And if you're going to go through Amazon, which is like the number one platform that I'd recommend that you start on, like you're going to be able to utilize the Vine program. And the Vine program is basically you send in 30 samples and you get out your feedback. So for $200, you can send your product and 30 people are going to rate it. If it doesn't come back at a 4.3 or higher, realistically, you want it at a 4.4 or 4.5, then you don't have a good product. You need to go back to the drawing board. Like do not proceed to the next step until you get there. So once you do that, the next part is like scaling, and you probably will need a little bit of capital. So what we did was we actually, as I said, we went to my best friend Tenet and we got $30,000 from him. And we were like, okay, sweet. We're going to go out. We're going to get a GMP facility. They're going to make this first batch run. We're going to have a ton of product and it's going to sell awesome. And the business is going to be great. And we did not do our due diligence on this GMP factory in any capacity. And it was completely my fault on that. And like additionally, working with tallow, it's an interesting raw material to work with because when it's warm, it's in a liquid state, and when it's cold, it's in a solid state. So this manufacturer had never worked with this before. So we sent it out there, and like I was in Arizona at the time, and they were starting to build the product. What a like stupid idea that was. And we go and this was a catastrophe. The guy called me. He's like, dude, we don't know like how to work with this. Like, this is not what it's supposed to look like. He showed me the product and immediately I just flew home. Like I flew home from Arizona and I went up to the facility and I was like, okay, what's going on? And the product was just the SOP that we had given them was just not a good SOP, which is totally on us. And the product, instead of being a balm, it was a lotion. So the lotion, like serendipitously, that lotion actually became one of our hero SKUs and kept us in the game. So we made the product wrong. It wasn't a balm, it was a lotion. So we were able to kind of salvage that, but we lost one whole vessel, which was like $15,000. We lost one whole vessel, but one came out to be a lotion. And had both vessels been lost, we would have torched 30 grand overnight. So the one vessel was bunk and the other vessel was good. And that we were driving up at 5 a.m. We'd wake up, we'd drive an hour and a half to the manufacturing facility. We'd work in the manufacturing facility with these guys to produce what we could and get out. We did that for 3 weeks straight. And man, that was a total, excuse my language, that was an ass whooping. Like it was just rough. And I called my investor. I was like, Nick, we just torched 20 grand. And he was like, huh. He's like, well, what'd you do wrong? He's like, I didn't do due diligence on the manufacturing facility. He's like, all right, well, I'm sure you guys will figure it out. I believe in you. And like, if it was not for him, like with such a good attitude and telling us not to quit along this whole way, that was just the first time I thought the company was going to go under. And there was so many other times that it is, but that's the importance of having like positive people and role models and mentors around your life, because he had already done the business before and had all the same problems. So he was able to keep me in the fight by giving me positive reinforcement and like, oh, okay, well, the problem's not that big. Just fix it.
People think it's linear, right? Like, oh, okay, if you do this, you get that outcome, but life doesn't happen that way. I've lived in Arizona, dude. That's hot, man. I hope it wasn't in the summer months. Like, that is brutal. It's like 120.
Yeah.
I can only
Yeah.
imagine what
Dude,
happened.
and we just looked at each other and that was such a beautiful experience for us because that was the first step in the process. And I'm so glad that it was that hard because when my business partner and I, when we got through that, and had I not had him to go through it with, I don't know if I would have done it. So that is the importance of having a business partner that's down to get in the trench with you, because it is complete trench warfare for the first 3 years. And we can get into that later. But had I not had him with me to go through it, I might have quit. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So it was a great story, man. And I've got so many more on the business that if you don't think your business is going to go under like 5 times on the way to your end destination, like you need to readjust your mind. So many times in the business, you're like, oh, dude, like we're going to go under. But when you just switch your mindset to like, you know what, we're going to get it done no matter what it takes. We're going to give 100% and whatever happens, happens. And I swear, when you tune into that state of mind, God or the universe, whatever you believe in, they'll keep inching you along. They're not going to make it easy for you, but they'll give you a little bit. You'll get a beat down or something will go wrong. And you might think you're on the brink. And then right in that situation, you'll get a $10,000 PO that comes in. Just enough to keep you in the fight. And as long as you just take the opportunity and you give it 100%, I do believe that anybody that is willing to start a business and go heads down for 3 years can do it.
Some people, if they want to start a business, right, they might need to work a full-time job and maybe do it on the side. So, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, does that extend it to past 3 years, or do you think should they keep their job until they see some traction?
Yeah, it's such a loaded question. It's a little bit different for everybody. This is what I'd say. I would say I have an idea to do this, to do X, Y, and Z. I would start doing the due diligence phase. I would immediately say, how much cash is it going to take me to do this? However much cash you think it's going to take, just double it. I'm telling you right now, just double it up, because you're going to make so many mistakes and mistakes cost money. But what I would say is figure out how much it's going to take. Save that up and put it into a deposit. And it might take you a year. It might take you 2 years because, like times are tough out there right now. Like the economy's not super great, but like, you got to save up probably, I'd say about 10 grand. Okay. To get started on a business is what I would say. If once you have that 10 grand put away, I would still continue working your job. Like do not quit your job. If it's a 9 to 5, work 9 to 5. But there is no extracurricular activities. When you get home from work, if you come home, you eat your dinner, If you have a wife, I have a wife, hopefully she's supportive about it. And you say, listen, honey, I'm going heads down from 6 to 9. And on Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, you have to be willing to put in, that's where you're going to make up a bulk amount of your time. You got to put in an 8, 10, 12 hour day on that Saturday and Sunday. And ideally you want to get to that point where you have a product and you can put it out to the market and see how it's going to react. And I will say this, at some point in time, you need to go all in. Like, you got to make it a real business and you got to make that leap of faith and go to that point. And that's what happened to me is my business. He's like, dude, you got to make this a real business. Like, you got to get out of your, stop working in your house, go get that office building for $1,000 a month. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but it needs to be something, and get in there and make it a real business and go all in. And when we did that and we started and we got our own office space and we did it, that's when the company really took off. And I'll tell you, we went from making about like 30 grand a month, and that's revenue, by the way, that's not profit. So we made 30 grand a month, and we were just like from October of 24 till about April. April. So for like about a 6 month span there, we were like just not getting the traction that we wanted. And we launched one other product. We put it up and we made some UGC content and things went viral. And boom, we went and we made 300 grand. Like, we made 250 grand in May, 300 grand in June, and like 400 grand in July. And just like that, like, we had a serious business. And it's because we made that leap and we went all in and we made it real. And it can happen fast. Don't expect it to happen fast, but it can happen fast. So that's what I would say is put it aside and work your job, and don't be afraid to take that leap though, and go all in on it. Because what's the worst thing that could possibly happen? The worst thing that could happen is it fails and you're right back into the same spot that you were before, but at least you tried, right? And at the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen in your life is you get to the end of your life and like you have your wife and your kids and you're like comfortable and you're happy. It's always going to be in the back of your mind, like, what if I went all in on that business? What if I slept inside of my factory? What if I gave up partying and drinking and hanging out with friends that weren't benefiting my life? What would my life look like? And I'm telling you, that regret to me is when I'm going to quit or something. I'm like, I will be that age one day, and I don't ever want to live with that what if.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Living with regrets and being that age, I mean, a huge part of to what you said is it takes time, right? So if you don't start now, if you don't start yesterday, I mean, even if you were successful, it takes at least 3 years. And people sweat about the money, right? Like if you fail, you lose money. But to your point, if you just do your due diligence and just save strategically on the side and just do it, you're not really losing anything. You were back to where you started without hitting your own, personal savings. There's so many horror stories out there where people are like, I just like, went into massive debt. But if you do it right, it's definitely possible. That one story you just told, it just like kicked off so many questions because it's just so like, it's pretty wild, but you put out content. So was that pretty important to you? You found like the whole marketing stuff because some people out there, when they think about a game plan or a business or an idea, they don't think about marketing. They think about the finances, the idea, all this kind of stuff, but they don't think about marketing. They think it's not a big deal, right? But I think people do find later on that it is really important. So it sounded like it helped you out a lot when you went all in.
Yeah.
Did it become a big factor to your business, how you market going forward?
Yeah. So two things on that. This is right. You've got your operational portion of your business, and outside of so that's, for us, we're a very unique company because we actually do some of the manufacturing in-house, and we also have a research and development team in-house. So we're actually formulating the process of the products and also manufacturing. And then the other side of the business, right, is the marketing and the distribution. And you need both, right? So how are we going to make the products? Are we going to source it out to a GMP, a CGMP? Or are we going to make them ourselves? And then we need to find distribution for these products. There's a lot of times that you can see like these, like people but they'll buy something from China and then they'll get the inventory into their house and then they'll go and they'll do a TikTok marketing campaign and the product will go viral, and it might be a little bit of a fad, but they make a bunch of money on the product and then it falls off. Or you can focus on making a world-class product that people are willing to repurchase over and over again. And then you can build a brand long-term. And that's ultimately what we wanted to do. But marketing has been one of the biggest challenges for us. Like, I'll just be very, very transparent. And there's so much to marketing. It has got to be, it's got to be the hardest part about the business, because building the brand itself and something that resonates with a consumer is extremely difficult. And I don't know if that's because my brain is wired for operations and manufacturing and interactions with our staff and things like that. And maybe just, I'll tell you another thing too. Marketing is so funny because you're gonna along your journey, you're going to get pitched by marketing agencies and like marketing agencies, I hate to like be negative about this, but they're really good at telling you what you need to hear in order to get your retainer for the month. And not all marketing agencies are the same. So you need to be very careful on how you hire them if you're going to hire out for it. But the marketing is in this day and age, the way I look at it is if you're, let's say we're going to start on an Amazon business, we have our products up on Amazon and one form of marketing is the PPC, a pay per click. And you already have the eyeballs coming into the search volume. You bid like $2 for the click. It goes up to the top of the first page. They click on it and you get that buy. And that's not really a sustainable strategy for Amazon because there's everybody that's just bidding the clicks. It's an auction system. So they'll just go up as possible and whoever has the best margin is going to win that battle. But the real thing is like, how are we going to bring the outside traffic in? And there's two main ways to do that I view. And it's Meta and then it's TikTok Shop right now is super, super hot. TikTok Shop, you 100% need to get on and you need to seed out. So you need to send samples to affiliate creators and they'll be able to generate content. And if your product resonates with people on TikTok, that was our launch pad. We got viral videos and we were able to get like, let's say $150,000 in sales on TikTok. But what we found was there's the halo effect or the spillover effect. So when they market it, you go on to kind of TikTok Shop and to be completely honest, it looks like a Temu shop, kind of looks a little TikTok, but they'll go and they'll search the brand on Google and Amazon will come up or they'll go to Amazon and they'll buy the product there. So when we got that video to go viral, we got about 5 to 10 million views. Amazon spiked. Amazon that I'm going to bring up to you guys. This is one of the single most important things that you can do in your business before you start. And it's called building out like these customer personas. And you guys can pause the video to kind of get an idea of what this says. But this is our customer. It's Lauren, the naturalist. And then it goes into a couple different things. And we have 4 personas. I only have 2 here with me, but I just want to go through these because this is a human behind the label. It sits there like, let's talk about Lauren, the naturalist. So Lauren has a high degree of skepticism. She has a consistency over novelty. She's not that time sensitive and she's not really ego motivational driven. So she's a 38-year-old, treats ingredients like treats them like a contract. So if it's not clean when she looks at the back of that label, she's not going to buy. It goes into core emotional drivers, generational context, the pain points that she's experiencing and the potential products that she's interested in. The same marketing message that you're going to pitch to Lauren cannot be the same as Rachel. There's different pain points for that customer. There's different lingo that needs to be driven towards them. So when I go to my marketing team, I say, let's say they make a static ad. I say, first thing, who are we selling to? Are we selling to Lauren, Rachel, Jessica, or Karen? And they know our 4 personas. Everybody in the entire business should know the customer. And they say, well, we're selling to Rachel and we're selling to her pain point, the fact that she is a mom, she's a new mom, she's a naturalist, she looks at every single ingredient. Okay, great. Well, we're going to pitch and we're going to drive towards that emotion. We're going to say, okay, we're going towards the fact that, let's say you're here because you read the labels, because you care about your family at home. That's a pitch towards Rachel. A pitch towards Lauren is you've tried every single clean skincare on the market and you found out that they weren't actually clean. But now we have one that actually is. And that's different. So you have to really understand the personas and building that out, guys, is the most important thing that you could do before you even start marketing because you can always back it out from
Those personas that you found, is that from feedback you found from people?
Very good question. So we got that from 23,000 purchases. We ran a poll from the data from Amazon. We pulled out our demographics. We pulled out what were people searching when they wanted to buy our product. So non-toxic skincare, clean skincare, ancestral skincare. And it's all based on that data. So when you extract all of that and you put it into Claude built all of this for me, but I gave it all of the data. So this is a very data driven, like this is not a question like, are these our personas? You're going to have a little bit of a harder time when you first start out. So I'd like to give a little bit of context for the people that are just first starting out and you don't have that data. You don't know who your personas are. So instead of speculating, what I recommend everybody to do is when you make your first 15, 20, 50 sales on the product, you're getting on the phone and you're calling that person. You're saying, hi, I'm the owner of this company. I noticed that you bought our tallow balm. How was your purchase? Do you like the product? What do you love about it? What do you hate about it? What do you think about the packaging? Why did you buy the product? Do you have a family? Do you have kids? You've got a husband? Are you buying it for them? And that does two things. First off, when you call that customer, they're like, holy smokes, I just got a call from the CEO of the company that I bought from. They must really care. They must really, really care. That's awesome. And second, you just got so much benefit and so much value out of that. They're going to tell you straight up, I didn't like the product. I'm thinking about returning it. I'm so sorry that you didn't like the product. Why didn't you like the product? What can we do better in the future so that you have a good customer experience? Well, I emailed you guys 2 times. I didn't know this, or that. Nobody responded to me. Boom. Okay. Well, how do we need to put in some sort of AI? Do we need to hire a VA in order to respond to our customer emails? Boom. You just fixed a major problem that if that person had that problem, the next 100 people are going to have the same problem. Okay. And then when you do that too, you're building a community for your customers. And I'm going to tell you, as we enter 27 and 28, with all of this AI and all of this kind of disconnect from human, the pendulum always swings back and forth. And when we go this way, it's going to come back to the middle. And the brands that are resonating with their customers and are building a community, those are the brands that are going to stand the test of time. I promise you that.
Yeah, that's super important. I have two questions. I know we're getting into
Mhm.
this, but just gonna ask it now in case anyone is wondering. But when it comes to the funding you got for this, do you think people need to put in that much into it when it comes to virtual services or products versus physical?
Yeah, so virtual service and service-based businesses, but we can talk about virtual first. Virtual, I mean, it's a really great business model. If you have a genuinely good product that you can build and that's going to provide value to people and it's not some scam show, then virtual business is awesome. And it's the same. Now it just becomes you've built the product, you built it right once. And hopefully, if your product's good enough, you can take that to 100 grand, 200 grand, a million a month if it's good enough. And that is just becomes a marketing play at that point. So then you're now really into a marketing space and community because when you're selling something virtual, like I think like I had an example of somebody that was selling like they were selling a online training course for soccer players. And I think it was a very good course. Like it was an online coaching course and they were doing like a million a month. And it was a really great business and it became a community driven. So starting like discords and that goes back to like how to make those win. You need to start a community where those people can go and they feel like they can talk to other people and get advice. Community, as I said, I'll always go back to that. Like it's the biggest thing. Because when you have people in a community, now they have friends inside of that community and now you have retention. Because ultimately with those service based, whether it's a monthly or a buy all at once, you want to continue to keep them in there because more than likely you're going to hit some sort of scale where you need to start and sell them another product. So yes, that becomes community based. And then your marketing needs to be completely dialed in. You need to get extremely granular about what our customer personas are and how are we going to sell to them.
Gotcha. Cool, cool. I'm gonna ask this for anyone who is new to this, but when you started this, at what point did you decide where you should form an LLC? Did you think it was maybe after those testing, those first 7 days
Mhm.
you made sales, or do you think it's better to form the LLC first and then do it?
Yeah. So, I mean, make the, p- make the product, right? And make sure that like you can actually build something that's good. But filing for an LLC, like all of that sounds it could be intimidating at first, but filing an LLC, I'm pretty sure it costs like $100. And like, don't get caught up with all that like legal Zoom. We'll file your LLC for you, $500. It sounds a little bit intimidating, guys, but just leverage Claude and you can go like, we're in Michigan. So you just go to like Michigan Lara and you submit all your information and it'll spit out a LLC for you. You can get it done in 10 to 15 minutes. And I don't remember what the cost is, but it's under $250. And then you have to take that LLC and file it for an EIN. And then once you have the EIN, that's going to unlock. You're going to need any of that for starting a Shopify, starting a Amazon seller account to do TikTok shop. You're going to need that if you need a business meta account. So yeah, I mean, don't be intimidated by all that. File it as early as possible. It's not very expensive. So yeah, start that and leverage Claude, leverage ChatGPT. It'll tell you exactly how to do it.
AI is going to be such a big help nowadays to
Yeah.
businesses. Going back to your point about the profiles you made, did that help you maybe at that point determine a pricing model, when it comes to margins and things of that nature?
Great question. I mean, you cannot launch the product. That's part of that due diligence phase that we were talking. You're doing the total addressable market when you're looking at the KPIs to see if this business is working. Is this thing going to make money? Because that's a big one, right? Like, yeah, working in your margins, you have to just completely understand that. If you don't understand your financials, you're going to go into this. Like, it was funny when we first started out on Amazon. Amazon does this very interesting thing where they don't want you to know how much money you're making or losing. So we were just starting out on Amazon, and they don't have a native tool to tell you your profit and loss statement, because why would they? Like, they don't want you to see that. You have to get a third party app. We use Sellerboard, and that app connects to it, and it breaks down all the fees that you incur. It breaks down all your marketing expenses and gives you a proper, profit P&L on Amazon. So understanding that so that you can avoid it, because we were selling products for the first 2 months. And then I didn't understand really what we were making. And then I looked and connected Sellerware. I was like, holy shit, we're making like $1 a unit. Like, this is like barely. That was what also put us in our cash crunch, is because we were spending it all on the marketing. So yeah, your CM1 and CM2 and CM3, I highly recommend you start to get with those. It's called contribution margin one, and it's what's left over after all of your COGS. And then you need to really build that out, build that model out. And again, I'll go back to this. Go into Claude and say, we need to do this. If you just went into Claude and say, I'm thinking about starting this business model, I need to do a McKinsey level business analysis on this that addresses the market and runs from a financial standpoint, it'll prompt you with the questions. It'll tell you, I need this, I need that data. And you just keep running through that, and then it'll put out a 30-page pitch deck for you. And there you go. So yes, do that before you even start selling the product. For TikTok Shop, for the pricing analysis, you have to get, there's a great app called Kixmon, Kixmon. That'll tell you what you're making. We were doing it in an Excel spreadsheet before, but it's not really 100% accurate. But that's another thing. So one thing to know about TikTok Shop is there's a few brands that make money on TikTok Shop. They have extremely good margins. I don't use TikTok Shop as a source for profit. We operate at about a 5 to 7% margin on that platform. We use that as a marketing channel that just so happens to make money for us a little bit. That's for general brand awareness, and then the halo effect to Amazon. So that, and then Shopify as well. You'll build your Shopify, and we can get into that too when you're building your Shopify. But I'd like to tell everybody, please don't, if you're going to try and sell a CPG product, do not try and sell on Shopify right away. That is a contrarian point that I'm going to bring up, but I do not agree with that. And the reason why is, the chances that you build a Shopify site when you've never built one before, and you're not willing to spend $1,500 to $2,000, which is what any developer is going to want to build a base Shopify site, you're not going to build a nice enough Shopify site. Probably not. Okay. And you think your sales are going to come from there, and they're not. This is what I think the 5 to 7 year play is. I think people are going to see an ad on Meta, TikTok. After they see the ad on Meta, they are going to go to Google, or they're going to go to Amazon, and they're going to purchase there. It is a reputable site with reviews that you cannot fake, and it shows you everything that you need to see. And that's where people are going to make their purchases. And if you're looking to scale a brand to 100 million, 200, 300 million, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be TikTok, Meta to Amazon. After Amazon, you're going to expand into retail. Retail is going to come 3, 4, 5 years, 3, 4, 5 likely. And that's going to be a whole nother animal that we could do an entire podcast on, because and that is it's a big beast. So, but that's how you're going to ultimately get to $100 million or whatever your end goal is for the company. But just tack first. And you do need a Shopify site for people to Google you and things. And one thing on that, I'll give you guys a total hack. Go find your competitor's website that you're trying to copy that URL, put it into Claude Cowork, and give it this prompt. Connect to my Google Chrome, go to this website, crawl the entire website, give me an output on a prompt that I can give to Claude Cowork so that it copies this website one for one. Omit or don't put any of the copyrighted material. Photos, brand names, obviously all that. It'll give you the structure. It'll literally give you the structure out. Then say, I want the liquid file so I can go put it into Shopify. Put it into Shopify. Shopify's AI system is so good now. You can talk to it and say, I don't like this or that about this plate or this section. It'll change it real time. You can build a Shopify site in probably 20 hours of work by yourself. Do not go to don't go and pay somebody $1,500. You can get a baseline one done like a 7 out of 10. You could get it a 10 out of 10 if you're good. But if you're just starting out, if you can get it 7 out of 10 and get started, I feel like a lot of people, they spend a lot of money early on things that don't really move the needle. And you need to move the needle early with that limited amount of cash that you have.
Dude, that's such a good point. Moving the needle. I think people don't realize that. People can get so caught up into making a spreadsheet, but you learn so much more when you take action.
After your diligence phase, and we're going to get into year one, we've got the idea. Before we start, we're building what's called an SGM, a strategic growth map. And that strategic growth map is going to have 2, 3, 4, 5 pillars. Ours has 4. And these are the 4 things that we're going to focus on this year to move the needle with specific KPIs and the people that are going to be responsible for handling that task. And you're going to build it in 2 different ways. You're going to build it in a base case and an ambition case. And you're going to give the ambition case to your employees or your team. And we're going to say, this is what we're supposed to be doing this year. We're not focusing on anything else. And it just goes back to the point of what we're not doing this year. Because if you're only focused on doing these 4 things, and ideally those 4 things are going to be surrounded about what is going to move the needle for our company, that will keep you on track year over year. And every week you're going to have a meeting with your team or yourself, if it's just you running the show, and you're going to say, did I hit this goal? Did I pass this gate check? Am I a little bit closer? And if you're not, after about 4 different settings or like a month or 2, whatever cadence you decide to do, you need to either readjust or sit there and say, what the hell am I doing that is not getting me the results that I need to get in order to get to where I want to go? So the SGM, one of the most important things that you can do. And once again, go into Claude and say, I need to build a strategic growth map for my company. These are the 4 things that I want to work on. And then you do what's called like by the way, this is from one of my business mentors, Dominic. You're going to do what's called a warehouse check. You're going to take this SGM into the factory or to any of your employees, and you should be able to ask them on the spot, what is the 4 pillars that we're working on this year? We're building our meta. We're trying to focus on TikTok shop. We're focusing on product excellence to make sure that every single product is awesome. And we're focusing on building a community. And if you're not working on one of those tasks every single day, then you're doing something that is not important to the company right now.
That is an excellent tool. I feel like you could use that starting off to keep you focused. How would you make sure you get all those perspectives if you're by yourself?
Sure. So the number one thing that you can do in any single business is to try and find a business mentor. And everybody's going to tell you that. And it's just one of the most important things that you can do. And if you can find somebody where you can sit there and say, man, you were really successful in your business and what you did, or you're really high up in your role. I'm a young guy starting out, or I just haven't done this before. Do you mind if I take you out for dinner, or if I buy you a round of golf every week, or something like whatever you can give me to just run a couple ideas by? And I'll tell you right now, people that have already done it, they actually really want to help. Like they do. People want to see you win that are doing it at least. If somebody came up to me today, like I get some young guys that are 21 that come up to me all the time. And if they ask me to go get a cup of coffee, I do it. Like I do it every time. And the reason why I do it is because people did it for me. So if you can find somebody like that, and I don't, a lot of people are like, well, I don't have anybody like that in my life. I'm from a bad area. Like I'm not rich like you. Well, I would challenge you to go to your local chamber of commerce and go to a business meeting. Go to Toastmasters. People that are doing those type of extracurricular activities are people that you're going to want to connect with and ideally get some advice from. And it's nothing but your time. You can go find people. Take it so far as to go into LinkedIn and DM them. DM not 5 people, DM 1,000. Okay, you're going to get the result. You're going to get one person to jump on your team. Let's say you don't, okay, which isn't going to happen. You're going to use Claude. Okay, you're going to use Claude and you're going to say, you are my board of directors. And you can generate a skill that says you're a 180 IQ person that is a CEO of a Fortune 100 company. You are going to advise me on every single decision that I'm going to make. And that's going to be your advisor. And you should be doing that anyways, just outside, because a lot of times, I mean, this AI is getting really good. They'll scrutinize anything for you. So that's what you're going to do. But you need somebody to bounce off ideas from, because the amount of times that I've done something where I thought that I was going to be right and I turned out to be wrong is really like, it's embarrassing. But you're going to be wrong a lot. The goal is you just want to be right. The goal is you want to be right as close to 100% of the time as you can. But I've only met a few people in my life that are right 90% or higher. And they're usually 40, 45, and they already been doing their business and things like that. So as a 21-year-old, you just need to understand you're probably going to be right like 5 or 10% of the time. And don't be delusional with yourself, because you're going to pay the price for that. And I was completely delusional myself. Like I thought I knew everything and that I was going to be right all the time. I'm right like 50 or 60% of the time now, because I've been through it and made so many mistakes, but I'm nowhere close to being right all the time. I'm a little bit better than I was last year. So, and that's just the goal, right?
That's awesome. That's very encouraging for anyone out there. You can take one approach to starting a business, but you're 1 out of 2 times going to be wrong. Failure is just part of it. So don't stress about it. I feel like that's hard for some people to deal with. What do you think are the key personality traits you think you need to do this well?
Yeah, one personality trait is going to dictate whether you're successful or not. And that's, are you willing to do whatever it takes? And are you going to quit? If you just sit there and you give 100%, you say, I'm going to wake up every single morning and I'm going to give this 100% and I'm never going to quit. I've not seen anybody not reach their goals. So let's say it doesn't even matter your IQ. Like it just doesn't. If you have a do whatever it takes mentality, that's going to always beat out the person that's extremely talented. So that's what I would say is just don't quit. Stay in the fight. I've seen so many people that have just, if they hung on a little bit longer, they would have made it and they just didn't. Because I don't know if they didn't believe in themselves or if they weren't used to doing hard things, but you need to do and constantly put yourself in a state of stress to where every single year you can be a little bit better than where you were. And when you don't quit on those days that you don't want to go into work, those are precisely the days that you need to go into work because that puts a deposit into your account, into a green account. And whenever you don't, or you slack off, or you watch TikTok, or you start talking negatively about yourself, you make a deposit into the red account, into you go into the deficit. And every single little bit of that, it counts for something. And your life is just a sum of the credits and the debits that you've made inside of that bank account.
Yeah, mindset is so important. And to what you said about community and surrounding yourself with the right mentors and people, you want to be aligned with that, or else you could be really dragged down in that journey. What was the point where you felt that I'm going from me to I need to have a team?
Yeah. So here's my philosophy for building the business. I'm going to pay myself next to nothing. And if anything comes up, I'm not going to pay myself and the business is going to get the money. And there was a lot of times for the first year and a half, we just started paying ourselves where we were not getting paid and we were just working. And we had an employee and we would pay him, we would pay the manufacturing guys, and we just wouldn't get paid. And that is what it is. In that first, the businesses, what separates the businesses that really win or that become lifestyle businesses for people, or they can make their $70,000 or 100 or 200 grand a year, is who's the founder that's willing to put every single dollar back into the business. Do not take that money out of the business if you want to grow it seriously, because every single time that you get that cash flow statement and it's positive, let's say you made $30,000 inside of a month, where's that money going? It should not be going in your pocket. That money is going to hire qualified people that are going to continue to move the needle forward. And every single hire that you make should, if you did your job right, drastically transform the outcome of the business, or it's going to marketing spend, or it's going to research and development for new products. A lot of businesses do that in their first 3 years. You should be taking almost no draws. You should be taking of course, like you have to live, right? And if you quit your job, like you need to pay yourself, but you need to stay on that same lifestyle. Your lifestyle should not upgrade. Do not go out and buy that car. Do not start taking lavish vacations. Do not go out to those expensive dinners. You need to hold true to that for 3 full years. I mean, that's what it about takes for a business to become profitable. And even then, don't upgrade your lifestyle like that. It's so important. Gosh, I mean, that is one of the most important things in the business because the human capital, the human resources that you have in your company are your biggest asset, and they're going to be able to push it forward. So invest every single dollar back into the business.
You said you were in your late 20s, so you have advantage of time and that energy. It's rare for someone to understand that young.
I will say, I am very young. Okay. I am, but like I kind of messed around for my first like 3 years. So 20, at 22, I went to New York. I worked in New York for about a year and then COVID hit and I came home right out of college and I came home and then I started my transportation business and I got that business absolutely humming. Like it was completely dialed in and I only had to really work on that business about 8 to 10 hours a week. And in that time, I was taking the money from the business and going out and doing exactly what I told you guys not to do. Shouldn't have bought. And that's why I'm able to sit here and tell you that advice is because that's what I did. And had I started at 23 instead of starting at 27, I would have been much further along in my journey right now. So I would say, yes, take as much, you just lock in, man. Go to wake up early, 5, 6 a.m., set the alarm, hit the gym, get that knocked out of the way, go to work, come home. And if you want to work, if you have a wife and kids, like then you have that time with them. Another thing too, you're kind of alluding to it is like, as you get later in life, well, I have a wife, I have kids, I have a family, I have this and that. And that's a really hard topic to talk about because I'm not there and I don't usually speak on topics that I can't speak eloquently about or factually, but there's a lot to be said about this is kind of a lonely journey. You're going to have all your friends that you had and they're going to initially support you and say, oh yeah, that's so great, man. You're starting your business, good luck to you. And you start going, 2 years goes by and nothing's happened to the business, or you guys are just kind of cruising along and they're like, dude, like, is the business going well? And you're like, not really. And then one day it kind of takes off, right? Like after the year 2, 3, and you're just going to sit there and you're like, oh my God, like I'm outgrowing all of my friends. Like you guys are still doing the same shit. You go to work, you come back, you smoke weed, you play video games, you go to do the same thing on the weekends. And what's interesting is you're going to lose all of those friends. And gosh, that's a really liberating moment when you do that and you really elevate yourself and the universe and God that they will put the people that are supposed to be in your life. But there's a time there where it might be a little bit lonely and you might not have those same friends because those same friends are the ones that you were going out and partying with and drinking and you're going to lose them and it's going to be ultimately good for you. But yeah, finding a partner, if you have a girlfriend that's going to be supportive of this lifestyle is really important too, because you might not always be there. You're going to be working 60, 70-hour weeks. When you get home from work, you're not completely emotionally available and you can't give them the time that they deserve. That's another thing too. And it's just, they've got to be okay with that. And unfortunately, you might lose your significant other if you're going to go down that venture. And but ultimately, man, it's whatever it takes to get to your goal. It's your life. You're not here to live up to other people's expectations. You're here to live up to yours. So you will ultimately elevate yourself and everything that is meant for you is going to come into your life and everything that wasn't meant for you is going to leave your life. And I promise you on the other side, it's always going to be something that's what was always meant for you.
When you're hiring for your team, do you think I want this person on my team because we're going to be aligned?
It's interesting because for every single hire that you make, it requires a little bit of a different personality. And to be completely honest with you, if you have like, let's say like, to give an example, let's say you have like an operations and sales and marketing. When the business is really humming, they're all going to kind of have like a healthy little bit of like hate for each other because on an operational side, you want to just continue working in a linear line. And then sales are going to go up and they're making a ton of, and marketing's crushing. And then they're going to put a lot of force on the operation and the manufacturing side of the business. And it's kind of just like that cycle. So they should all kind of have like a healthy, like, I'm not gonna say hate, but for each other because it just causes more work. But whenever you're able to make a hire and people should be able to sit down at a table and they should all be able to say their piece and they should all have something of value to say. And whatever their concerns are, they should be addressed at the table. And whenever they get to the end result and we all agree on something, we walk out of that room as a team and we say, okay, we all agreed on this. We're going to give it a shot and we're all going to be aligned and give it 100%. So the personality types are going to be completely different in a company and it's your job in order to kind of conduct those personalities in a way. And yeah, if somebody doesn't fit into the culture of the company, there's been times where somebody had been in my company and I could just tell like, man, you're going to get eaten up at these board tables. Like you're gonna get eaten up at these. Like I got to let you go. Like these are some sharks in here, and like your voice is just not gonna be heard in this. And yeah, you might have to let them go. So yeah. Though it's your job as a CEO or the owner to coordinate all of those different personalities and make the best decision for your team.
For sure. If you started a new business, like you started over from zero, would you do anything differently in your approach or?
Yeah, yeah, I would 100% do. It's interesting because everything that I told you to do is the exact opposite of what I did, which is why I'm able to tell you what you should do because those were all, based off of my mistakes. So when I kind of first came onto the scene, an idea popped in my head, like, and I just shot the arrow. I didn't even aim it, I just shot it. So yes, if you're going to start from zero, you need to do exactly what I said before, and is to make the business model and model everything out, and then create the gate checks that you're going to get through and say, okay, that's where I'm at, and am I on the process that I said? Am I on track to hit those goals? So doing that due diligence phase before and building out the SGMs, building out the plans, spend more time on that than just saying, wow, I had this really great idea. Let's do it. Because you're going to avoid so much money burned, so many mistakes. What's that saying? It's like measure once or measure twice, cut once. Is that what it is? Statement. But yeah, like measure twice so you only have to cut once. And it's going to save you so much pain and heartache in the end. And to piggyback on that, a couple AI things. Yeah, I've got a couple points here. So number one, Claude, you heard me say it throughout the entire meeting. Claude is going to be your best friend and it can nearly do everything now. I think it's the most proficient AI model. Become extremely good at using it. When you use Claude, do not say, build me an SGM. If you put bad input in, you're getting bad input out. So a little trick that I use is I'll go to like Gemini, ChatGPT, or even Claude too and say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. Build me a prompt for this task so I can put it in. And they're going to build you a beautiful prompt. And then you put that into AI and it's going to give you the most beautiful output that that you want. So that is like the biggest number one key. Couple things too, if you're going to do Amazon, Mentally is a beautiful software. This makes awesome infographics. Okay. You don't like gone are the days where you need to go to Upwork and buy a infographic package from a designer for $800. $1,000. You can save a ton of costs there. Another one would be Foreplay. Foreplay is like you can go to that website and you can swipe competitors' winning ads that have been tried and true and ran for hundreds of days. That's a great tool. Another one is Manus AI. If you're looking to get UGC creators, you can go hook up Manus to Instagram. Manus will scrape all of the Instagram creators because Manus is Meta's AI tool. So you can go scrape a ton of UGC creators. If you're going to do TikTok shop, use Yuka, EUKA. It literally, you can go to brands and go find their top creators and then message them and say, hey, do you guys mind promoting for us? Another one would be OpenClaw. OpenClaw is going to be more advanced for you guys. You're going to need to watch a couple videos on that, but don't get scared of it. You can build employees that are $50,000 to $60,000. You can completely eliminate them from your company by building off OpenClaw. And that's basically like if you want a financial operator, like you can sit there and say, hey, what did we make last month? How much revenue did we make? What was our AOV? What was our MER? And you can text it inside of a Telegram chat and it will spit it right back out to you and tell you exactly what we did. What was our lowest sales day? Why was it low? What can we do to increase that? And it'll put it all back out to you. And another one was ARC ads. If you want to be doing some AI UGC, I think that that's going to be really big going into 27 as they refine the model. UGC creators are the biggest way to drive sales to your business right now, and they're extremely expensive, to be honest with you. If you go out and you try and find a creator that's got 100,000 followers, they're going to charge you somewhere in the realm of $300 to $2,000 per video, and that video might flop. Trying to utilize some sort of AI, depending on your brand as well, depending on who you're selling to. There's people that will look at an AI UGC video and they'll know it's AI, and immediately it creates distrust in the brand. So it just depends what type of brand you're trying to build and if it resonates with your customers. Those are the biggest ones that we're using right now. Helium 10 is a great tracker for Amazon. Use Helium 10. Replo can steal people's Shopify pages. Okay. They can literally go on and find a Shopify page. And similar to what I said with Claude, Replo is great. Gamma, if you're looking to go raise money, it can make an AI pitch deck for you in 30 seconds. Lovable. You can create a website from scratch, hour. So all of those are really good.
For sure. Thank you. That's really helpful. What do you think Claude has over ChatGPT?
Yeah, I think ChatGPT is still one of the best models out there for certain tasks. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm not going to act like I'm a developer or an AI expert, but the Claude, if you just use both the models, I'm saying for 10 hours, you're going to get drastically better outputs on Claude. I was ChatGPT my whole life until, probably about 3 months ago, and I switched over to Claude, and you can just see immediately the output, the ability to generate copywriting and also save skills. So you can literally teach it skills. Like if you go into Claude and you say, I want to teach you an AI or I want to teach you a copywriting skill. Go out and read this book. Here's the PDF. Read this entire book. It'll read it in a matter of 2-3 minutes. It just saved all of that information from that book in a matter of 2 to 3 minutes. And now it can output it at a drop of a hat. You can have it go and do transcriptions of the top 100 converting videos for your niche. You can send those scripts into Claude, save it as a skill in its knowledge base, and say, now generate me 5 more scripts that are to my personas so that I can go out and give it to a UGC creator to make. Insane. It's insane. Can't even wrap your head around it. But dollars of value in it. You will be left behind if you don't learn AI. You will be left behind. You'll be completely obsolete if you don't know how to operate these different models. So I highly recommend, if you're not familiarizing yourself with AI, you will be left behind in a matter of 1 year. So yeah,
And to those out there, if you don't know anything about an aspect of business, you can cut yourself up to speed really fast. So don't be afraid of it.
no, I agree. Good point.
Who do you think shouldn't try to start a business?
If you don't enjoy, or at least you're willing to endure pain and complete suffering for 2 to 3 years with getting absolutely no reward or result, don't start a business. This is a painful and it's an arduous process. And if you're not willing to go through that suffering, you are not going to win. You will not be good in business. Business has evolved at such a rapid rate since AI has come out. And you're competing against some of the best in the world. And to think that you are going to be able to compete with them, the only way that you're going to be able to win is through maximal effort and complete in showing up on the days that you don't want to come in. Because there's people out there that are sitting in Silicon Valley right now inside of a one bedroom apartment with three guys sitting on a laptop who wake up at 6 a.m. and they work until 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at night. And they do that for 7 days a week to try and build a business. And that's who you're competing against. And I don't want to say that to scare you off, but I will say that you're going to go into this with a very high degree of optimism and you're going to get slapped in the face and you're going to have to make a decision whether I go back to my old job or continue with this business. And it is a constant onslaught of battles that you're going to have to face. So if you're not willing to accept that and go through it, you will not be successful in almost anything that you do. And that may be harsh, but that is the reality of the situation nowadays.
For sure. So lots of gems throughout this interview. Maybe you've already said it. What do you think would be your biggest piece of advice to someone starting off?
Yep. Yeah, biggest piece of advice for somebody starting out, number one thing, find that business mentor. Find that business mentor, surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that want to go on that journey, or at least they want to, they want to see you succeed. If they're doing something themselves, those are the people that are actually going to support you. You think that your friends and your family are going to be the ones to support you, but what I've found out is actually those are the first people that are willing to kind of give you negative feedback and say, hey man, like maybe you should quit, maybe you should stop doing this. But the other person that's grinding on the other side, those are going to be the ones that have a positive impact on your life. So surrounding yourself with those people might be the only reason that you actually stay through that constant onslaught and fight in the trench for 3 years. Because if you're looking to get reassurance from your mother or your father or your friends, they're not going to be the ones to give it to you. And you'll be surprised to actually find that in your journey. Sometimes you will if you have a really supportive family, but that support system around you is because you're going to want to quit. I don't care what anybody says. You will want to quit at some point, and whether you do or not is going to be completely your decision. But the people that you're around can definitely impact that decision and keep you in the fight. So that would be my number one thing.
Easier said than done for sure. But if you're going to do it, you got to do it. Well, this was great. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak. And I think people trying to start something on their end are going to get a lot of value from this conversation. And so for anyone watching, I'll leave links to Clean Klein in the description below so you can check them out. So thanks again.